Oh, don't worry, I will. It's kind of hard, sorry. I want to welcome you all to the celebration of life of MaryGrace Kerr-Scoggins. I know you're kind of asking yourself, what is this guy doing up here with this jacket? And I kind of want to explain it to you. I'm not some, eccentric kind of woo is me kind of guy. But the thing behind the jacket is I've known the Kerrs for about 14 years. We've been friends. Our children have grown up together. Our children are friends with their children. I've officiated a lot of weddings for the Kerr family. And the first one that I did was for Annalise and Nathan. And I wore this, it's even flashier than this, a sequin jacket. It was silver. And, they all kind of laughed at it, thought it was kind of funny that I did that. So then when their next kid got married, I wore the same jacket. And I, continued to wear the jacket as their children got married. And when Jacob proposed to MaryGrace, she came to me and asked me if I would officiate their wedding. And this had been several years since I've married some of the other Kerr children off, so I was a little bit heavier, so that jacket did not fit. And they were over at our house. We were planning her bridal shower, and I opened up my laptop, and I started going on Amazon, and I started looking at flashy jackets. And I asked MaryGrace, I said, I like this one. It was green. She kind of looked at it. She's like, I don't like the green one. I said, well, what about this red one? And she's, I don't really like that red one either. So we spent about 5-10 minutes scrolling through pictures of different jackets with sequins on it. And this is the jacket that she picked out. I've only wore it a couple of different times. I wore it for her bridal shower. I wore it for her wedding. And now, unfortunately, I have to wear it to her celebration of life. But we're here today to celebrate MaryGrace. And like I said, I'm not here to be flashy or anything like that, but I just wanted to explain the jacket just because when I wore this earlier, they're like, you're going to have to explain why you're wearing that. So that's the reason I'm wearing the jacket. And a little on later, we're going to have some people come up here and share memories of MaryGrace, and I know a lot of you guys have memories, and that's what we're here for, is to celebrate her life. And so, Mike, I want you to kind of come up here and start us off, please.
It's not normal for me, but I have almost every word that I want to say written down so that I don't lose it, I guess. We, the family, welcome you. We gather to mourn the passing of MaryGrace and to celebrate her life. We've come to grieve, and we've come to give thanks for this life that she was given. For this kind of brief space of time that we're going to be together, we're going to cry and we're going to laugh almost simultaneously and alternatingly. And I think as humans, we're the only species that has that range of emotions. Most animals have just one emotion maybe at a time if animals have emotions. But what this is just kind of a tornado of emotions. Whenever a death occurs, we who remain behind are saddened, but we can enter into that space that's really out of the ordinary. And whether we recognize it or not, this is a very sacred time. It holds potential for healing and for insight and understanding that doesn't come in normal circumstances. And when someone we love has gone on, someone we've known well, someone we've loved, someone we admire, something in each one of us dies too. We're reminded of the frailty of relationships. And I hope that the people that you're touching elbows with right now become more special. We need to be aware that our human bodies are fragile. And we need a good human body to continue. And when the human body starts getting torn down, that's when everything kind of changes. We may come to know a heightened consciousness of what is precious and what is true, and even acknowledging our own mortality. Scriptures teach us that we, people, men, women, we're like grass. We're like grass, and there's a season when it's green and lush, and there's a season when it's not. And when the hot wind blows on it, it has nothing to do but wither. And there's not only grass, but there's wildflowers. And that's who my MaryGrace smiley facey is some wildflower that kind of like that Sound of Music, who can catch a cloud and pin it down. This is a sacred time that's heightened by our affirmation that there is eternal life after death. And it's here together we get a glimpse of this mystery of the mansion with many rooms that Yeshua has promised his disciples as he prepared to leave them. There's nothing about this that we can touch or describe or pin down or say this is a concrete thought or a concrete idea. It's a mystery. Death is a mystery. And we have scriptures that tell us what happens, but there's a couple of different things that it says about that. So it brings us to a threshold of faith. One thing I know is we don't die and just go down to a grave and stay there. I think we sleep until a resurrection. And that's where MaryGrace is now, is there remains a rest for the people of God. And she's resting. And there's a scripture that says we die once and face the judgment. And when I think people console themselves with some things that we have trouble backing up with Scripture. And I'm mostly consoled that we have a God who knows, who sees, who understands, and we don't have to try to make myths or fairy tales or lessons that explain it all. We need him because we can't explain it all. If we could explain it all, we wouldn't probably rely on him. Paul's words when he says, neither life nor death can separate us from the love of God, come to mind. So I welcome you in this extraordinary time. I invite you to pause and let it settle in that a precious life has actually passed from us. We all know it. We're going to let that settle in a little bit. And we can use the gift of worship and sharing our memories and bring comfort to one another. And we're going to grow in peace and in joy and in laughter with one another as we remember MaryGrace. And perhaps we're going to enjoy this trace of her and her presence, not presence, but like the presence that she would bring into a room, that idea. Out there, I was talking to Leah, wherever Leah is, I don't know. Hi, Leah. was looking at a picture and I'm like, it's the fizz. I look at a picture of Mary Grace smiling. I'm like, where does that fizz go? And that's what I'm talking about. Leia's response is, well, maybe we all get to keep a piece of that, a bubble or two. It's kind of like a Sprite you shake up and pop the top off, and it spews. And I just want a couple of those bubbles to stick with me for a long time. We'll always miss her. Now her healing has come. Sometimes people think that when people pass away and they don't get miraculously healed, that they're not healed. But our healing is for sure. Our healing is in God. Our wholeness is in Him. And dying, Mary Grace knew it. Dying is part of healing and being the restoration of all things. I'm going to read some about the obituary that is written in there. Somehow that's a terrible word. I don't know why, but it seems like a bad word. And I want to elaborate on a few things. Mary Grace Elizabeth Kerr-Scoggins, 24, of Clearbrook, died on Sunday, June 15, at home with us, surrounded by her family. And she was born on September 15th, Grandpa Kerr's birthday. Grandpa and Grandma Kerr came to our house because we were going to celebrate Grandpa's birthday and thought this baby's never going to come. And so they came to our house to have dinner or something, I don't remember, had a birthday cake. And they ended up staying for 2 or 3 weeks and got stuck there. And Mary Grace was born in that special way where, Mary Grace was born, is it still on? Still works? In that special way where you see the feet before you should see the feet. She was special like that all the while. And Melissa and I were professional parents by that time. We'd already had several children. We knew exactly what to do. And we had midwives and counselors saying, you're going to have to nurse this baby constantly all the time. And this schedule that you've been doing with your other kids is not going to work for this baby. This girl needs special attention. And it totally screwed up our life. And just like if somebody took a bottle of Sprite and shook it up and popped the top off. And not that it ruined our life, really. It just made us focus differently and make different things more important. Our other children, we'd lay down in their bed and they would go to sleep. And Mary Grace would lay down in our bed with Melissa, and the two of them would go to sleep, and I would be on the couch or something or whatever. So we lived in Missouri for a while. This thing just says we lived in Missouri, then we moved to Minnesota, and then she got married and moved to Texas. She was about 5 years old when we moved to Minnesota, and she fell in love with it. Her and Timothy were out walking one time, and I don't know if Tim remembers, but there was a bear in a tree, and we'd never seen a bear before because we were from Missouri, and we didn't have bears. We had squirrels and ticks and chiggers. And so there was a world of fascination to move to a different part of the country, and she absorbed it all, and we all did, but she really embraced it and loved. We would go for walks at that place where we lived. We'd go for walks out to a creek. It was really a river, the Rice River, I think is what it's called, and it's just a creek. You can almost jump across it. But that's the way a lot of big rivers are in Minnesota, like even the Mississippi. So, it was a learning thing for us. But we loved being in Minnesota. We loved being in Missouri, but we loved being in Minnesota. She loved it. She loved the woods and the lakes and the trees and the birds and the flowers. And she could often be found frolicking, dancing, singing as a little child through the tall weeds that are really wildflowers, but they're weeds, But and she moved. She chose to marry Jacob and then moved to Texas, and she wanted to. She wanted to be where he was, and she always loved Minnesota, and it was her last move to come back. But she always loved. I'm going to keep moving through this flowery obituary that if I had written it, this is what it would have said. She loved art and painting and travel. Several years ago, we finished our basement and made her a bedroom in the basement, and she picked the wild colors to paint it, and she wanted a desk for all of her art supplies. So half the room is an art area with pegboards full of duct tape and stickers and paints and string and beads and all of that kind of stuff. And she would go down there and disappear for hours. And you saw on the tables out there, all of those are things that she created. Those little cards are all things she created. And there, over where the pictures are, there's apples on the table. They're fake apples, but at least they have stars, is the quote from the Fantastic Mr. Fox. They're fake apples, but at least they have stars. And she lived in that wonderland in her mind a lot, which is what strange artsy people do, But she had a real grounding and a love for people and for causes and for things. And she liked hiking and camping and spending time with Jasper the dog. When we brought her home from Texas, we got out of the van and Jasper the dog came up and laid in her lap. And everybody was trying to protect her from getting clawed up by the dog's claws. And she got mad. "Leave me alone. I know how to handle my own dog." And we're like, we don't want him to knock you in the grass, But he was so gentle. Strange thing about that is she hadn't seen him for a few months. He went in the barn and didn't come out. And then when she passed away, he came out barking. And that's weird. However you slice it, that's just true, but it's weird. Jacob and MaryGrace spent a lot of time in their camper, and they did do exploring, and they did go places. And Jacob would say a lot of it was surrounding her treatment and places that they needed to go for that and that kind of thing. But they had good times, and she wanted adventure. And she married Jacob for adventure, and he gave it to her in the best way he possibly could in that short time. They visited national parks, and they made a lot of memories. Over the years, she pursued a lot of endeavors, and she worked on our farm. She worked for the Pioneer for a short time, the Bemidji Pioneer. That's a newspaper. You all should get a subscription because my daughter wants you to. MaryGrace worked at the Yellow Umbrella. That's a dress shop. She was a stylist, she called it. I would say a mannequin dresser. But she loved going in that store and finding everything she could possibly find fizz in and put it on a mannequin and dress it up and put it in the window. She worked at Canterbury Coffee Company, and she had an Etsy business called Last September Studios, where she made jewelry and she sold those cards and some paintings. And she had a way of painting where she would draw pictures of somebody without a face, which is, there are some religious organizations who don't put faces on their baby dolls and things like that. But she would draw these pictures, and she wasn't trying to do that, but she draw pictures of people without the actual detail of their face. And the way she did it, you could tell exactly who that person was without an expression on that person. And I'll always be amazed at the originality of that. And we have several of those hanging in our room, or in our house. She was involved in 4-H, which was terrible, because the thing about 4-H is our house just becomes this place where people all go spend a bunch of money buying things to enter in the fair, and they all get $6, or something like that. But it sure made 2 weeks of turmoil, and it wasn't just her; it was all of the bunch. You have that many messes and things and whatever. But that was a wonderful time, a wonderful season. She worked for the Beltrami County Republican office, and she and I went 4 or 5 years in a row, I can't remember, to Costa Rica. And there's a mission training organization that we were part of, and part of our fellowship, Living Stones Fellowship. She loves spending time with family and friends, and we learned late that one of her favorite things was to be let me get it right, self-proclaimed fairy godmother to all of her nieces and nephews. I never heard that before, but when I look back on it, yeah, that's kind of a good description. She's, no? Oh, yeah. Jayla, come here a second. Come here. No? Okay, I'm sorry, she's easy to embarrass. That was a bad idea, Gideon. She's got her butterfly wings on. You'll see her later. So, MaryGrace is preceded in death by her sister, and we lost an infant, our first daughter. So we really have 10 living now. Preceded also by grandparents Curtis and Mary Kerr, and Paul Bartley, Melissa's dad, and great-grandparents Eileen and Kenneth Duzan, and Morris and Hazel West. And I have a picture that I took of her when a couple of years ago, she and I went to Tetegooch State Park. And I have this picture of her that I'm not going to show you. Visual aids are good, but I didn't do this. But on the rocks, and she's walking, and she's walking, and she's walking, and she gets to walking way out in the distance. And I took a picture 3 or 4 pictures as she progressed across there. And when I looked back at that picture now, I just realized she's gone on an adventure alone without me, without you. And it's just an adventure. I don't know how I have the courage to stand here and say this. It's going to be okay. And we're all blessed to have learned a lot from her. I was able to spend the last couple of months in Texas with her and Jacob. And she wanted to come home. We debated, is it going to happen? Is it safe? Jacob and I talked a lot about it. How could it happen? And we asked her, do you really want to make this trip? It's going to be a hard trip. And I said, do you want to go back to that grass in Minnesota and stick your toes in the grass? And she said she decided she really wanted to make the trip. And it was a hard trip. It was a very hard trip. She got to come home and see Jasper, the dog, see all of her family. See some friends. And I can just tell you that the last couple of months that I was with her, she praised God every day. She quoted scripture, she journaled, she listened to worship music, and she sang in the way she could. As long as I have breath, I hope I can do what she did as long as she had breath. She wanted to live with us, but she understood that There was another possibility too, but she was going to live regardless. She was confident that she was safe in the arms of the Almighty. And from Psalm 27:13, she never lost hope because she knew she would see the goodness of God. And truly, as long as she had breath, she praised him. We will sing to him now. We'll sing some worship songs. And there will be stories shared by others. And we hope that we fully can represent all of the petals on this wildflower that is Mary Grace.
We would love it if you would all join us in worshiping together. The first song we're going to do is How He Loves. He is jealous for me. Love like a hurricane. I am the tree, bending beneath the weight of his wind and mercy. When all of a sudden I am unaware of these afflictions eclipsed by glory, and I realize just how beautiful you are and how great your affections are for me. And oh, how he loves us so. Oh, how he loves us. How he loves us so. He is jealous for me. Love's like a hurricane. I am a tree, bending beneath the weight of his wind and mercy. When all of a sudden I am unaware of these afflictions eclipsed by glory, and I realize just how beautiful you are and how great your affections are for me. And oh, how he loves us so. Oh, how he loves us. How he loves us so. How he loves us, oh, change to come, knowing the battle's won. For you have never failed me yet.
Your promise still stands. Great is your faithfulness, faithfulness. I'm still in your hands. This is my confidence. You've never failed me yet.
I know the night won't last. Your word will come to pass. My heart will sing your praise again. Yeshua, you're still enough. Keep me within your love. My heart will sing your praise again.
Your promise still stands. Great is your faithfulness, faithfulness. I'm still in your hands. This is my confidence. You've never failed. Your promise still stands. Great is your faithfulness, faithfulness. I'm still in your hands. This is my confidence. You've never failed me yet. I've seen you move. You move the mountains, and I believe I see you do it again. You made a way when there was no way, and I believe I'll see you do it again. You've seen you move. You move the mountains, and I believe I'll see you do it again. You made a way when and I never will forget.
I wanna be close, close to your side. So heaven is real and death is a lie. I wanna hear dry voices, angels above, singing as one. Hallelujah. Holy, holy, God Almighty, the great I am, who is worthy, none beside thee. God Almighty, the great I am. I wanna be near, near to your heart, loving the world, hating the dark. I wanna see dry bones living again, singing as one. Hallelujah. Holy, holy, God Almighty, the great I am, who is worthy, none beside thee. God Almighty, the great I am, the great I am. The mountains shake before him, the demons run and flee at the mention of the name King of Majesty. There is no power in hell or any who could stand before the power and the presence of the great I am, the great I am, the great I am.
And now I'm going to invite up family members to share their memories of Mary Grace. You know, brothers and sisters, they have the best stories, best recollection of the fun things that have happened, the sad things that have happened, the smart things we've done, and the stupid things we've done. And so, Gideon, if you want to come up and start us off.
Today we're here to celebrate the life of Mary Grace. Mary Grace was someone very special to every person in this room. To me, she was my beloved, fierce, precious little sister. One of my earliest memories in life is walking into the room, the story that Dad just shared. I was 3.5 years old and wanted to know what all the noise was coming from my parents' bedroom. And walked in the room, I don't know, moments after she was born. And as they described, it was a complicated birth. And I remember one of the earliest images I have in my mind is Mary Grace in the midwife's hands. And then my grandma came and grabbed me and took me out. Don't go in there. They weren't ready yet. But I remember just dancing around the house and singing to myself that I had a little sister, and she was going to be named Emily Elizabeth after a character from my favorite TV show. And I partially got my way. Mary Grace was an intense person. She felt deeply. She loved you and hated you with an intense passion in quick intervals. She was bold and creative. We're lucky enough to see her artwork all over the building today. I was just sharing with someone how thankful I am, how much output she had, that we have so much memories from her, physical things that she's created. I'm lucky enough to have her artwork forever engraved on my left arm, the same place where her scars from her surgery were. Mary Grace was a person of great beauty and had a need to express that beauty to the world, touching each of our lives along the way. There are so many more things that I want to say, and I know all of you do as well. We're going to spend some time now hearing from select family and close friends who have been asked to share today. Following the service, we'll have time to fellowship and to share all of our stories with each other throughout the day. I've already heard some really fun things today, great memories, and how she's touched everyone. Coming up next is our mother, Melissa Kerr. Don't stand too close.
Okay. I really struggled with whether or not I should do this. Not necessarily because I would probably cry and be upset, but because all these kids, they have so many amazing and creative stories to tell, and I thought, mine would be kind of boring and whatever, but when you're the mom, when you're the mother, when you're the mama, you get the intimate moments, you get lots of laughter, lots of crying, lots of opinions, and I have so many things treasured in my heart and special moments that were just ours, and I know everybody does, but I get to do that 11 times over, and it's pretty amazing. So before I start, I just want to say to Samuel and Annalise and Timothy and Gideon and where I would put MaryGrace. Sorry, I got you out of order. And Malachi and Hadassah. And where's Ben? There you are, Ben. You're the middle child. Sorry, it always happens. You're ahead of Malachi. I know I got them out of order too. It's an off day. I'm not done. Hadassah. Where's Carmi? Carmi, Nathaniel. I'm getting you out of order. Where'd he go? There he is. And Bariah. I just want to speak your names. I know this is about MaryGrace today, but I don't want to leave this earth without you hearing me say that even though we believe that MaryGrace may seem larger than life and she was big and huge and wonderful, that's how you all are to me. That's how I see every one of you. Well, I just want you to know that. Always. Okay? Okay? I just want you to hear me say that. 3:29 a.m. on June 15th, 1925. I'm sitting with you as you struggle for breath, knowing that you fought this battle the way that you wanted to, in your own way, in your own time. This not being the outcome here on this earth, necessarily that you wanted, that Jacob wanted, that her father and I wanted, that any of her brothers and sisters and friends wanted, and yet here we are. We're remembering your tenacious strength, your bright spirit, and most especially, your unbelievably beautiful smile. You inspired us to believe in a God who is so big and so able. You never lost faith, and Jacob never gave up on you, and neither one of you gave up on the one who we both knew was holding you for those years that you were together. I will never forget the last time that we were in the hospital, and she'd been doing well for a week after her spinal surgery, and we were all feeling pretty hopeful of the outcome of the procedure. And then she began to really struggle to breathe. Her heart rate climbed. She spiked a short-lived fever, and for the first time, I was actually scared about what this could mean. I was holding her hand, and I was kissing her face, and my tears wouldn't stop coming. And she was struggling so desperately to breathe. And she said, "Can I have my phone?" And I thought, "Sweetheart, this isn't the time for an Instagram post." And she took her phone and she turned on a song, "How Great Is Our God," and she laid it on her chest so she could breathe. And as best as she could confess, she said, "You are good, you are faithful, and I trust you." And I came to the truth that she knew that she was going to be okay. Ecclesiastes 3:11 says, "Yahweh has made everything beautiful for its own time. He has planted eternity in the human heart. But even so, people cannot see the whole scope of Yahweh's work from the beginning to the end." We feel like we've seen her life from the beginning to the end. I held her, saw her first tears and some of her last tears, her first laughters and some of her last laughters. But we don't see it all. And I shared with Timothy this morning that we cannot see it fully right now because the pain feels so great, but she has her place in his kingdom, and that is everything. Her faith in the work of her life will be fully manifested in eternity. And lastly, the Torah teaches us that a good name is to be chosen rather than great riches, loving favor rather than silver and gold. And she would ask us, "Mom, Dad, why did you give me the name Mary? It means bitterness. Why would you give me that name?" Well, for one, she was named after her beautiful grandmother. But also, bitterness is also rebellion to go against the norm with unwavering faith. And we know that to be true. And grace is the gift received because Yahweh's of nature and character. And Elizabeth is a promise that's made by Elohim. She leaves us a loving legacy of true and genuine faith and her unbelievably heartwarming smile.
City of stars, oh, are you shining just for me? There in the bars and through the smoke screen of a crowded restaurant, it's love. That's all we're looking for is love from someone else. A rush, a glance, a touch, a dance. That look in somebody's eyes, light up the skies, to open the world and send me reeling. A voice that says I'll be here and you'll be alright.
Thanks for making it harder for me. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Tim's wife, Anna. I just want to thank everybody for coming because seeing you all here it shows all of us how much she had an impact on people. And that means a lot to all of us, especially me. As I've been thinking about what I would share with you, I kept thinking about how nothing I share will ever come close to how incredibly special she was and is to all of us. But I want to give you a glimpse of how special she was to me. The first thing I'm going to share is how I met her. We met in 2017 at Sukkot, Missouri, and I was walking down the sidewalk, minding my own business, and she literally tripped and fell into my life, and I caught her. I've never been more grateful for someone tripping and falling into me. When I met her, I didn't know how much I needed her. Sorry. When I was 12, I lost my sister and my best friend in a tragic car accident. It broke me, and in my hurt, I chose to build walls and not allow people in. It just hurt too much to lose someone I loved so much. I share this because I was determined that I would never have a best friend again, and then one day that changed when MaryGrace fell into my arms. I will never forget that moment. We instantly connected, and our friendship started to grow. She was the sweetest, spunky, and beautiful girl, and I knew I wanted her in my life forever. What I didn't know when I met her was how much healing her friendship would bring me. She made me feel seen, loved, heard, and cared for. We spent so much time together that whole week. She very quickly became a sister to me. She brought me so much joy, made me feel so full of life, and slipped right past the walls that I had built. We had so many conversations that I would have never had with anyone else but my best friend. We laughed till we cried. We had hard conversations, and then some moments we just cried together because, we're girls. So she encouraged me, lifted me up, and was the best friend I ever could have asked for, and I pray that I was that to her as well. MaryGrace was a huge part of Tim and I's relationship. She was our designated chaperone most of the time, but it was always it just felt like we were hanging out making memories together. One of her favorite things to do while we were in a relationship was to take a pillow and chuck it at us and say, "Leave room for Jesus!" She did it enough times that when her and Jacob were in a relationship, I came this close to putting it on a throw pillow and giving it to them for their wedding. She had become like a sister long before Tim and I got married, but I'm so thankful that Yahweh had it in his plans that we could actually become sisters. In the time I was blessed to be a part of MaryGrace's life, she had many roles and names. She was my sister, best friend. Her name in my phone is Fredita, and mine and hers is Turmeric. And there's a story that goes with that if you want to know. She was a confidant, and she called the nieces and nephews. She was their fairy godmother. Those are just a few of the things. A huge part of our friendship and sisterhood was doing music together. If you were ever blessed to hear her sing, and you did today, you know you will never forget that. It will stay with you forever. I know she meant so much to all of you in so many different ways, and I pray that's a comfort to you. The last thing I want to share is a verse. It was my sister's favorite verse, and it's become an important verse to me as well, and it's John 14:27, and it's, "Peace I leave with you. My peace I give unto you, not as the world gives, give I unto you. Let not your heart be troubled, and neither let it be afraid."
I'm very hormonal right now, and it's hard to balance everything that this week has been for us. It's going to be really hard for me to read this, but I want to, but it just might take me a long time, so it's good. But I am Annalise. I'm MaryGrace's older sister. The oldest of all of the people Mom got out of order earlier, because she asks me when everybody's birthdays are. Do I need to be more loud? So that's proof that she keeps me around for a reason. But MaryGrace was my very greatest companion in life, in our lives together. And she came along on every single crazy adventure I ever could have possibly conjured up in our lives, whether it was just going out to eat or going and doing something crazy. She let me talk her into anything. And even though we had our moments as sisters and our personalities clashed sometimes, as we grew and matured and got older, we just never let anything ever stand in the way of our sisterhood and that relationship that we had. But in typical little sister fashion, when she was younger, I always say she was my biggest bully. She gave me a hard time about everything that I did, because it was never good enough. She teased me about my taste in music and my interests and what clothes I wore. I would get dressed and she'd be like, "Are you really wearing that?" And I'm like, "You're 4, you know?" Nothing was fancy enough. She did not appreciate the amount of black that I wore, but she encouraged me constantly to step out of my comfort zone. But over the years, as we grew, we developed many more similarities than we did differences, from the music we listened to and the movies we watched, to having a love for travel and spending time outdoors. I like to think I started the national park thing, but whatever. I take credit for exposing her to all of the best things in life, even if my parents did not always appreciate the level of influence that I had over her, especially when it came to things like Taylor Swift and whatever else you could come up with. But I was scrolling through MaryGrace's Instagram posts on Monday night, trying to fall asleep, and I came across the one about our trip to New Orleans in October to see Taylor Swift, and it really got me. And I'd read it before, but it felt different rereading that. And she wrote about how she was on her way back from a very tough appointment at the Mayo Clinic when they were trying to figure out a lot of stuff early on in her diagnosis. And she wrote that They were in the car on the way home, and I called her to tell her I had gotten tickets. I know there's probably a lot of people that don't really understand the importance of that or how hard that is, but it was a challenge and something that was really exciting. And she wrote, "Getting to experience this incredible night with my big sister, who always played Taylor Swift in the car and sang along to it, was simply magical core memories. And I'm so thankful I got to have this experience with her, and that has been something exciting and fun and hopeful to look forward to for the last year when my life has felt too heavy or painful, and this show was the deep breath and a warm hug that I needed." And I had been thinking earlier in the day, on Monday, I had written a post on my social media that was a letter kind of to MaryGrace, and I had shared something very similar to that, and how getting to the last big thing we got to do together was to dress up for that concert together and laugh and sing and dance in the bathroom and put on our makeup, and she made me put sparkles on and all sorts of things that are not me, but they're very her. And rereading that on her Instagram was the warm hug that I needed when I was missing her so much that first day. And that will always be one of my very favorite memories that I got to have with her. And so I'm glad to know that all the effort I put into making that trip happen and getting those tickets was worth it, because it gave us one last really special core memory to experience together of something that we both had a shared love of, and is a memory that I'll cherish forever. I really wish that we would have had more time together. I'm so grateful for every single moment that we got to spend as those best of sisters, whether it was arguing about stupid stuff or crying about boys, me judging her for all of her very crazy thrift store outfit pairings that definitely did not match, and her explaining to me how matching is arbitrary and I'm just very boring, binging our favorite TV shows, rushing to Hobby Lobby as soon as the fall decor was put out so that we could get all the little pumpkins, and laughing together on the kitchen floor, deciding that eating chips and salsa is a good kayaking snack. She couldn't paddle, but she got it in there. It worked. Getting to be bridesmaids in each other's weddings, and everything that we had in between. I had hoped more than anything that she would be able to hold on long enough to hold our little Sophia that's supposed to be here in a few days. But I'm so glad that she made it back in time to meet her in her own way. In the last week we got to spend together, she kept her hand on my belly every time we were near one another and kept telling me how much she loved her. Last Saturday, we managed to get our entire family together to take one last full family photo, which was not easy because there are a lot of us, but we did it. And after the photo was over and her barely being able to utter a word all day and really struggling to stay awake, we were about to head inside, and I looked up, I think, at Anna, and I said, "Hey, can you get a picture of MaryGrace and Sophie together?" And I don't know how she managed it because she had not talked much that day, but she looked over at my belly and I heard her whisper under her breath, "I love you so much." And we got a really special picture that I'm really glad I thought of taking in that moment. And those were the last words that I ever got to hear her say. So even though this has been an incredibly hard season of balancing a lot of joy and pain, I'm grateful to have that as my final memory with my sister, and one I'll be able to tell my little girl about someday. Because her Aunt MaryGrace would have been the very best fairy godmother to her of all time. So as I wrote in my letter to MaryGrace on Monday, thank you for spending 24 years as my sister. I'll never ever stop missing you. And I think they have a slideshow queued up for us of some photos that we put together with a song that Jacob picked out that was special to them. And there's lots and lots more on the tables out there if you didn't notice. There are too many photographers in this family. But we are nothing if not documented. So this is just a few.
locked in your embrace, covered in your majesty. Here I have no need, I am truly free, everything as it should be.
Yeah. Good. Thanks, kids. Thank you all for coming here. I'm Bri. I'm 11 years old. I was MaryGrace's youngest brother. One of my earliest memories was getting crayons with MaryGrace. I think my obsession with color started with MaryGrace. Red, representing love and birth. Orange, representing beauty. Yellow, representing joy. Green, representing life. Blue, representing sadness. And then purple. It's the end of the color line. For me, I will always think of MaryGrace's gravestone purple because it's the end, but it's the most beautiful color, representing royalty. And then the shades, representing life and death, and anything in between. And I have a lot of memories of MaryGrace. We usually would go on forests, and we would jump over trees. I believe that MaryGrace is still here, and that she lives in all of our hearts. And I hope we can all become red again. Thank you.
There's just not enough time for every single one of us to say everything we have to say, but you can see a lot. There's a big family. There's a lot of people that want to share. We were grateful that while MaryGrace was far away from all of us, the last couple years in Texas, that she found a new family with the Scoggins and their extended family, and she found a new sister, and I'm going to ask her to come up now, Leah, and we're going to hear about the time that we didn't get to see MaryGrace.
Hi, everyone. My name is Leah Camaro. I'm from Texas, born and raised, and definitely proud of it. I've known the Scoggins family since 2010, and I met them at their fellowship Sukkot. And well, they really haven't been able to get rid of me ever since. But they're very dear friends of mine and my family. I was just a small blip on MaryGrace's radar, and I wanted to share a bit of what life was like for us back home and how she impacted my life. And similar to what Anna shared earlier, I don't think we could really tell of everything and how she touched us in all those ways. But anyway, before I go on, I'm going to give a little backstory from my perspective. MaryGrace Kerr. That was the name I had heard tossed around in my sphere of friends for so many years. My sphere of friends, i.e. being the Scoggins and the De La Fuentes. I think 2013 is the year I started hearing about the Kerr family. The family whose sons had a band and were all cool-like because, they played guitar and drums and could sing and just a whole bunch of other things. And they were the family whose kids got married right at 18. And MaryGrace was this girl I heard about but hadn't met. I knew she was cool, for sure, by word of mouth, but I wondered when our paths would cross. Fast forward to 2015, when I went to HRN's Revive conference. I heard that some of the Kerrs were there that year, too. Some or all, I don't really know. I don't remember meeting any of them, so that doesn't really count in my book. But fast forward again to the fall of 2022, I finally had the privilege of meeting MaryGrace at Hadassah de la Fuente's wedding. Hadassah de la Fuente, who became Hadassah Donaldson. It really was so cool to finally meet the legend I had heard so much about. Then, only a few months later, in February of 2023, I hope I'm getting all these years right. If not, just disregard the timeline. But MaryGrace flew down to Texas for Becca Scoggins' wedding. Becca Scoggins, who is now Becca de la Fuente. And we stood as bridesmaids in her wedding, in Becca's wedding, and I got to connect with MaryGrace again. And I thought to myself, if only she lived closer. Oh, and let me just add that while preparing for Becca's wedding, I came to find that MaryGrace was an excellent bouquet arranger. top notch, which was a miracle because she helped fix like all the sad little bouquets that I had made, and she helped them come to life and look beautiful, and because I asked her to, because it was just incredible. She was so graceful and a joy to be around, truly. Also, this was the visit when I shipped Jacob and MaryGrace together in my head. And I'm not saying I was the first one who saw it coming, because I'm sure maybe lots of other people might have saw it before me, but I'm just saying that's when it clicked for me. I saw something there, and I really hoped it would bloom into something beautiful. Well, little did I know that she would be moving to Texas later that year, because the love of her life would finally step into the picture and sweep her off her feet. I was there when MaryGrace went on her first official date with Jacob in May of 2023. Well, I don't mean I went with them on the date, but I was there watching her get ready and helping her get ready, and Debbie and I both were there. We were at their house, and MaryGrace was all giddy and excited, and we all were, and there's such excitement building there. And unfortunately, it was a short time before that Jacob had shared her diagnosis with me, Jacob and MaryGrace both. But this unfortunate news didn't stop his pursuit of her. They were married in September, just later that year. It was a huge honor to be there, and one of the most beautiful weddings I have ever been to. So for those of you who slaved away to make that day perfect for them, it was. Good job. It felt like a fairy tale wedding from my perspective. And I even remember talking to Melissa how so many things actually kind of went wrong and that you guys kind of hid from MaryGrace because you didn't want to stress her with that, right? Anyway, finally, after some weeks or months, don't remember how long exactly, Jacob and MaryGrace finally came home and settled in, and they were rocking that camper lifestyle, and I couldn't believe that she was now going to be living just 5 miles down the road from me. I was so excited to have a friend close by, and not just any friend. MaryGrace Scoggins, Kerr-Scoggins. Like, I had to take that in. It was crazy and truly a monumental moment for me. Our friendship that blossomed through to the close of that year and all of 2024 and 2025 up to this point is hard to put into words. I just loved getting to know her and peeling back the layers of who MaryGrace was. She had style. She had a way of looking at the world through these rose-colored glasses. She was a breath of fresh air. She was a ray of sunshine and hope, and she was my friend. As we started to get to know each other, we shared our life stories with each other and spoke extensively of our families and personal experiences, and she talked of her babies, which of course are all her nieces and nephews, and Jasper, he was her other baby. We shared the in my auntie era vibe because we both had so many nieces and nephews to love on. So we talked of our hopes and dreams, our fears, and we laughed a lot. And her family kind of said, we don't really know what that part of her life was like in Texas. Well, we went to like weddings that friends had, and we went to baby shower, and we'd gone shopping together several times at my favorite clothing shop where I was working at the time, or used to work at. And when things started to get hard, and when she started not to feel well, we would have a chill hangout and just talk or watch a movie or paint our nails. And I didn't write this part down, but speaking of painting our nails, I tried out these wild colors that I otherwise never would have picked out for myself, but like she happened to have them, and they were beautiful, and I just love how much I was able to grow and just learn more about myself because of her. On one of her better days, I took her to one of my favorite hiking spots, and when we got to the top of the hill and saw that beautiful view, we just sat there and talked. She shared one of her fears with me, and I think it was weighing heavy on her heart. She said, I'm afraid. I'm afraid that if something happens to me and I don't live, that my family and Jacob will forget me. I guess it was like she was sort of grieving and becoming acquainted with the idea that she might not be here in the relatively near future. But I know all of those whose life she truly touched couldn't forget her, even if we tried. Not that any of us would want to try to forget her. She's so ingrained in every memory, thought, and fiber of our being. I see her almost everywhere I go now, and in every beautiful thing I see, because she was beauty incarnate. She was wonder, she was life, she was love, she was groovy. Like, the girl had style, like, unmatched. She's too ingrained for us to forget. The hard part will be learning to live without her here, physically, aching so badly, wishing that she was. But MaryGrace wrote her own story. She was her own fairy tale. She was a one-woman show. She left a trail of glitter behind her everywhere she went. And to me, whatever she touched became beautiful. And I have this thing where when I'm really impressed by someone, I'll say, man, I want to be just like them when I grow up. And I can definitely say I want to be just like MaryGrace when I grow up. So as I said earlier, I was a part of just a short blip of over her 24 years of life. And I don't have the history with her like a lot of you do here today. But it's also funny to me because I feel really close to all her immediate family because of how much she told me about each of you. So even though my time with her was short, it was full of meaning, full of life, full of love and friendship. And even deeper than that, a shared faith. She had hope, and I respected her so much. Her hope was in God, Yahweh. And even in the pain and the trials, she worshiped. Even through the questions, she worshiped. Whether through her silent tears or loud sobs, she worshiped. I was so blessed to know her, and I'm grateful to Yahweh that he allowed MaryGrace to be a beautiful, colorful chapter in my life. She was the friend I didn't know I needed, and it's sad to think I missed out for so many years. I think she was put here to be a blessing and to show God's love and bring encouragement to so many that needed it. I kind of think of it as God being an artist, and MaryGrace was his paintbrush. I think he was showing off. MaryGrace is at rest, or as some would say, she's gone. Gone from this world, yes, but never from our hearts. We look to the future with hope that we'll be united with her again in the kingdom that's to come. To the Kerr family, I'm so deeply sorry for your loss, but thank you for raising and cherishing her pure soul. And Jacob, you were a gift to her as she was a gift to you. And I know she would want you to live and find fullness in this life again. And she kind of would say, like, she didn't have any friends in Texas, and I was her only friend in Texas, and I started to say I was her only brown friend in Texas, and I don't know why, I just like to own that. But even though she didn't have like a lot of close friends, there's a community there that loves her so much, and the Scoggins family, and so many people covering her and you guys in prayer, and I couldn't name them all, but just text after text been coming in. Tell Jacob and tell the family that we love them and we're praying for them, and so I know we'll see her again, and it hurts, but I'll take it. Love you guys.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for coming today. It means a lot to me and my family that so many people came from all over the country to be here to support MaryGrace. I couldn't tell you when I met MaryGrace. She was 2 years older than me, and she was always there. Oh, good they have some of these down here. I'll stick to my script here. She was known to everyone here as joyful and fiery, a young woman who truly lived life on her own terms. I learned from a young age that if you told MaryGrace that her idea was maybe just a little crazy, it only emboldened her. Like, for example, using the barn roof as a sledding hill, which is a real thing that my sister did in her youth. So when her and Jacob decided they were going to get married in 2 months and move into a 16-foot camper with a fold-out couch for a bed and travel the country, I just thought to myself, that sounds like MaryGrace. No point in arguing with that. You can imagine my excitement when, after they had purchased the camper, they asked me to take my truck and pick it up for them. Now, this could be because, out of all the people they knew, they considered me to be the most capable and skilled person for the job, and that they could only trust me with this great responsibility. That or I was the only person with a pickup truck available on a random Tuesday night. Regardless, I went and I picked up the camper, pulled it back to Mom and Dad's farm, where we all worked together to set it up for the first time. And it's one of my fondest memories to look back on. And even though it was a small thing at the time, this week I found myself looking back at the small moments more than ever. And I'm so thankful that I got to play a small part in the story of how MaryGrace got her camper that Jacob used to show her the world. She spent a long time bouncing around the world looking for her place, and she found it with Jacob. He gave her so many adventures and memories. For those of you that knew MaryGrace from a young age, you know that all she wanted was an adventure. To climb trees, pick flowers, jump off of some perfectly good cliffs into the water, sing songs, climb mountains, and maybe take a few pictures while she was up there. She was a person who was excited to be alive and see what life had to offer. Which is why it brought so much sorrow to my brothers and I when we saw the task at hand on Monday morning. And I don't know whether to call it an honor or not, but it was a task. One that my fathers and my brothers and I completed with great sincerity and pride, with the understanding that we had been tasked with the responsibility to craft for MaryGrace her final resting place on this earth. And this morning, we laid her to rest, surrounded by trees, where we know she can hear the birds singing, and she will feel right at home. And I'm so thankful to my two brothers, Gideon and Samuel, and my father, for bringing her home from Texas. And I'm unable to express the deep level of gratitude I have towards her husband, Jacob. After learning of her diagnosis, he did not shy away. He proposed to and married her, and spent the last 2 years dedicating his life to serving her, making her dreams come true, being her shoulder, and truly dedicating every waking moment of his life to serving my sister. Truly, for better or for worse, for rich or for poor, and in sickness and in health. I know that he made her dreams come true. And Jacob, You will always be my family. There'll always be a place for you in my home with our whole family. In the final days before MaryGrace passed away, her mind was still vibrant. And she always had such an affinity for the profound. And my wife, Alexis, found a verse that MaryGrace had saved just a few days before her passing. This message truly gives me peace about the state of her heart and her mind. It goes as follows. And in that moment and forever after, she didn't care about the things that once weighed heavy on her. She found herself at the feet of Jesus, and all she wanted was to remain there forever. Rest in heavenly peace, MaryGrace. And I believe we have a video.
Your love is like radiant diamonds bursting inside us. We cannot contain. Your love will surely come find us like blazing wildfire, singing your name. God of mercy, sweet love of mine, I have surrendered to your design. May this offering stretch across the skies. These hallelujah be multiplied. Your love is like radiant diamond bursting inside us. We cannot contain. Your love will surely come find us like blazing wildfire, singing your name. God of mercy, sweet love of mine, I have surrendered to your design. May this offering stretch across the sky. These hallelujah be multiplied.
I failed to say when I was up here that Malachi, my incredible brother here, made that video and filmed it and edited it. He did a really great job capturing a really important memory for our family. And I just want to give him credit for that. Thank you, Mal.
I'm MaryGrace's younger sister, Hadassah. I could think of 1,000 things to say about MaryGrace, as we all can, as everybody said. And for those of you who were at their wedding, I gave a phenomenal speech. It was amazing. And I don't think I could write anything better about Mary Grace than that speech. So I'm just going to read a hymn that meant that Mary Grace liked, and that I know for a fact would make her cry, which is payback for her making all of us cry so very much. In the land of faithless day lies a city for square that shall never pass away, and there is no night there. God shall wipe away all tears, for there is no death, no pain, no fears, and they count not time by years, for there is no night there. All the gates of pearls are made in the city for square, all the streets of gold are laid, and there is no night there. And the gates shall never close to the city for square. There is life, their life's crystal river flows, and there is no night there. There they need no sunshine bright in the city for square, for the Lamb is all the light, and there is no night there.
I think I'm going to make it through this without crying. We'll see. That video was, nobody told me to make it or anything like that, but for everyone who knew MaryGrace knew she was obsessed with Instagram. And she posted her whole journey of cancer on that, and I really just wanted to make it for her. I didn't tell any of my brothers that I was doing it. I just kind of snuck in the background like a fly on the wall and made it. But that song was really important to me. It was important to her. She sang it a lot. And the day before she passed, me and my mom were in there crying, talking to her, holding her hand. And I was playing the whole time. And I just really wanted to include that. But in 2019, MaryGrace was really trying to get me to go to Costa Rica with her. But I did not want to go because I hated public speaking. And you had to go and give a speech there. But one night we were arguing about it. I was like, I'm not going to go. And she grabs me and she pulls me in the bathroom. And she gets inside the bathtub and she's like, hey, sit down with me. We're going to talk this out. We sat there for like an hour just talking. I don't know why she chose that, but we sat there for like an hour just talking in the bathtub. And about going to Costa Rica, and she's like, it's not that bad, it's not about that. Just look at me the whole time, we'll be fine. And so she convinced me to go, and I'm really happy that I did. And I have all those memories with her of traveling and just how excited she was, and she had gone many times before I went, and just how excited she was just in the airport, on the plane, getting there, showing me everything that happened. But it was such an honor to get to see her there, and I'm so glad she made me go because I was able to get to know and fall in love with my beautiful wife there, who she loved, and our baby girl. And our other baby girl she never got to meet, but loved just as much. MaryGrace was a traveler. She was someone who loved life more than anybody in the world. She was always bubbly and happy, as many people have said before, but she loved supporting her siblings. She loved supporting other people in their journeys, and she really supported me and took advantage of the free labor of me having a camera with her business. But she supported me through everything and really helped me learn a lot. And it's hard to think about going on without her, about everything she won't get to do with me and my family. But we were able to go and see her before her spinal surgery in Texas, me and my family. And she had so much life, even though she was just lying there, couldn't do much. But She read my daughter a book with one arm she could barely hold in her hand, but she sat there reading to her and wrestled with her and let her play with her hair and pull her hair, and it's just unforgettable how much life she had, even at the very end. And she's going to be missed by so many, but as many people have said before, she lives on in so many ways with all of her art, everything she left behind, all the people she's impacted. All my family's wearing these. She made all these. She had hundreds of them everywhere, but there's no forgetting that person, and I'm honored to be her brother and got to spend 24 years knowing her and fighting with her.
I'd like to ask Mrs. Deb to come and share a story.
I'm sorry, this is probably going to be a little bit long. As I was sitting there, I was thinking about how am I going to cut this down, because everybody has almost spoken every word that is in here. But I'm just going to try to read through fast and furious, because when we were asked if we had anything to say this week about MaryGrace, it didn't go back to little times that we spent together or little words we shared. But there was one particular thought that would come through in the end of mine that just wouldn't go away. And so I'm not the greatest public speaker and don't particularly love it. So if you'll just allow me to read this through. MaryGrace Kerr-Scoggins was the faith-filled daughter of Mike and Melissa Kerr, and the faith-filled wife of Jacob Andrew Scoggins. MaryGrace can be defined by lots of word adjectives that all begin with F. Many of them describe her. She was fun, fancy, free-spirited, festive, finey and fashionable, factual, fascinating, flexible, forgiving, funny, and as Mike pointed out, had a little bit of fizz. But the one adjective that I would like to focus on today is how she was so faith-filled. MaryGrace never lost her faith in the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, Yahweh himself. She never lost faith that he robed himself in flesh and came down and dwelt among us as Messiah Yeshua. She never lost faith that there is healing in his wings and he was able to deliver her from cancer if he chose. She kept her eyes fixed on Messiah. She believed Yahweh is the master of the universe, the creator of her being, and he had the power to heal her if he chose. As we are all here today at her funeral, we know he didn't choose our way. We prayed and petitioned. Her parents prayed, Jacob prayed, MaryGrace prayed, and Yahweh's answer to us was no, it is not my will. The master of the universe said no without reason or explanation. His word says he causes it to rain on the just and the unjust, and his ways are higher than our ways, and his thoughts are higher than our thoughts. He always answers our prayers, and sometimes his answer is simply no. I don't understand it. But I do know that MaryGrace knew Yahweh is faithful to his promises. Mike, Melissa, and Jacob testify of her last week, that with many of her last breaths, she spent faithfully worshiping Yahweh and encouraging those around her to do the same. There is an end to all of our days, and 2 scriptures talk about what the faithful have at the end of these days. 2 Timothy 4:7-8 says, MaryGrace fought the good fight. She finished the course. She kept the faith. Henceforth, there is laid up for her a crown of righteousness, which Yahweh, the righteous judge, shall give out on that day. When we believe, as MaryGrace did, then as sad and as sorrowful as we are in the midst of tears falling for her loss, our loss, We do rejoice that she ran her race and will receive her well done, thou good and faithful servant. We believe she will receive these promises upon her death. But there is something more that I want to bring out today. MaryGrace was blessed to be raised in the fear and admonition of Yahweh. She chose to believe for herself and to make her faith and belief in the scriptures her own. And there is one particular scripture that I'd like to focus on today. Psalm 37:4 says, "Delight thyself in Yahweh, and he will give you the desires of your heart." Today, we all see her desire for a long, normal life was not granted. Her short life was anything but normal, and she handled it with grace and a unique sense of style, smiling and as joy-filled as possible along the way. I believe without a doubt, a huge desire of MaryGrace's heart was to have a husband of Ephesians 5 caliber. I believe it must have been a childhood dream that carried into adulthood. She must have read those verses in Ephesians. Husbands, love your wives, even as Messiah also loved the called out ones and gave himself for them. As a husband that would love his wife as his own body. For no man hateth his own flesh, but nourisheth and cherisheth it, even as Messiah the church. For this cause, says the scripture, a man leaves his father and mother, and shall be joined unto his wife, and they two shall be one flesh. Today I am only one among a multitude of witnesses who will testify about MaryGrace's Jacob. Yes, Yahweh granted her the desire of her heart and blessed her with Jacob. Humble, kind, diligent, patient, and more importantly, her faith-filled Jacob. He was her rock. Yahweh blessed her with a love that is only read about in storybooks or in the scriptures of a man that lays down his life for his wife. Anyone that watched MaryGrace walk through a battling cancer knows she didn't walk alone. She walked with Yahweh, faith-filled always. But she and Jacob fought the battle together. When they signed on to marriage, they did it for always to the end. No matter what, they walked in it. They planned, they hoped, they prayed, they dreamed. They laughed and they cried. They made extremely hard decisions most of us cannot imagine ever having to make. And then they walked together in them. Believing, hoping, praying, encouraging one another, being encouraged by those around them, and always walking together through it all. Some people live long lives, are married many years, often multiple people, have several children, but will never be acquainted with this kind of love. MaryGrace and Jacob needed one another. When Yahweh allowed them to find each other, they truly rescued one another. Their love story is one for the books. It was an honor to have witnessed the love story of Mr. and Mrs. Jacob and Kerr-Scoggins. I'd like you to leave you with MaryGrace's own words, her post on March 29th this year. Today marks 31 years of life for my favorite human, my love, my soulmate. You are the best husband, adventurer, partner, caregiver, friend, brother, and uncle. I don't know if I will ever be able to put into words how proud of you I am, how much I love you, and how thankful I am for you. I'm so glad to be your girl and that we get to go through this life together and every challenge together. Life is hard, but loving you isn't. Thank you, MaryGrace, for fighting the good fight, for keeping the faith, for walking out in exemplary love with your husband. We will miss you, but we have the hope that we will see you again.
I'm Tim, Mary Grace's older brother by about 16 months. And it was just last Friday that we drove up to see Mary Grace for the first time since October. Because she was so far away, we were not able to see her very often. When we went to see her, she was not able to stay awake or speak very much at all, but we were able to talk with her a little bit, enough to tell her we were expecting our fourth and for her to say a few words to the girls. And Anna was able to sit with her quite a bit the following day. At the end of the day, on Sabbath the next day, that was on Friday, we went and saw her. So on Sabbath the next day, after taking some family photos, which we saw up here, and spending as much time as we could with her, my wife, girls, and I said our goodbyes and shed tears. It was really hard, and I didn't really know why, because I kind of thought I'd still see her. I thought she'd kind of have at least had another week or two left. Just didn't think she'd be gone so fast. As we prepared to head home the next day on Sunday, we were staying with Ben and Lexi, my younger brother and sister-in-law, and we weren't sure what the future held, and I was helping Ben with some work stuff, and we were walking in, and I started to interrupt him to say, hey, we should probably not spend too much money right now until we kind of know what's going on with Mary Grace, and if there's bills or whatever, if she lives or doesn't live, was what was in my head. But Mom interrupted me with a phone call. Me and Ben were together outside, and she said that she's gone, that she had passed. We all knew what was going to come if a miracle didn't happen, but it was still shocking to hear. That's a call no one can truly prepare for. About 2 years ago, Jacob and I were on FaceTime while I walked around a state park trying to help him find the perfect place to propose. A few weeks after he proposed, I remember that we went out to lunch, and we were just talking about the future and him and Mary Grace, and I think it was at our youngest's baby shower. So we were talking about that as well. And we all are very protective of our family and our sisters, and we always have loved Jacob since we met him. I think back in 2013. But I just said, I was excited and thankful that Mary Grace had him, and I was excited for him to be part of the family. But I asked an honest question, which is, are you sure about this? Because he knew that she had cancer, and he lost his mom to cancer. And I couldn't imagine how he would want to sign up for that again. To which he said with no hesitation, yes. To which I asked, why? Are you sure? And he said, because I know that she's my wife. She's the wife I've been waiting for, and I want to spend the rest of my life with her. I want to spend the rest of our lives together. And she is pretty cute. So there's something in it for me. Jacob, thank you for being Mary Grace's safe place, her rock. I'm not going to look at you while I read this. Her steady and the love of her life, which she would not quit droning on about for 23 years. Oh my gosh. She finally got married at the ripe old age of 23. It is just not the Kerr way. Leah. I'm so thankful you were able to be with her for the last 2 years and make so many memories and make such an impact for the kingdom of Yahweh by showing your faithfulness to Yahweh and to each other through all of this, and I'm honored to call you my brother forever. MaryGrace was very open with her journey on social media and made a huge impact and inspired so many other people going through a similar situation that no one really had talked about or shared about, and they just didn't have a support group exactly, or see, it wasn't normal, and they just felt alone. And she posted her whole journey, and I don't know how she was able to do that. Even when we were taking the last pictures with her, she pulls her phone out. She wants to film it, and that was just important to her to be an inspiration to other people too. She gave them hope and inspiration and pointed hundreds of thousands. And I told Jacob this day on the way over here, I have to correct this to millions, because she had a lot of millions of views on Instagram of people that were impacted by her faithfulness and her journey. And she pointed hundreds of thousands or millions to Yahweh through her testimony. MaryGrace was such a sweet person, had a huge heart and sense of humor, and was always able to live so profoundly in the moment, and I'll always admire that about her and envy that. While this is a heartbreaking time, and we will never recover from this devastating loss, today I do want to honor her and her memories in life by focusing on what she was really like, which was a crazy goofball who was always making jokes, making things more fun, this is an understatement, being dramatic, and deeply loving everyone around her. So I want to play something. This is a voicemail that I got in February on the 3rd, which is not that long ago, which is kind of surreal to think about. Got this from her while Anna and the kids and I were with Sam at his hotel. He was in our area for a work trip, and we went over to take advantage of him in his pool at his hotel. And MaryGrace called me while we were there. We had been playing phone tag all day. Anyway, we'll listen to this. I think this really embodies her and her silly personality. So can you play the audio file?
Dear Tim, I was saddened and hurt by the fact that you didn't pick up my FaceTime or my phone call. I can only presume that you're on a date with Anna, wooing your wife, treating her good, giving her that good loving. And I'm very disappointed, because what date would not be even more fun and exquisite with the presence of me and my most handsome husband. I just hope you
Is that all you have?
Dear Tim, I was saddened. Very happy.
I have it on my phone.
I just hope you and the little children, my little fairy god babies, and your beautiful wife are safe and happy without me in your life. Rest in peace, your beloved sister, MaryGrace. Kisses.
I told you, dramatic is an understatement. A few memories I have and always will have of my little sister would include when we went through a drive-through late at night when we were around 16 or 17, and they got her order wrong, and she very bravely, after we pulled away from the window, yelled, "Y'all are noobs!" in a very loud and dramatic voice, making us both laugh very hard, so we just had to stop at the parking lot to recover for a minute. I'll also remember her yelling, "My retinas!" when we would get blinded by light or see something she didn't want to see. I also always remember her walking through mine and Anna's courtship and her fun
and always there for us attitude while Anna and I got to know each other more. She was the designated and self-proclaimed third wheel, but it always just felt like three best friends hanging out, making lifelong memories. One of the hardest parts of this loss has been watching my two girls lose their Aunt MaryGrace. Or as MaryGrace liked to say, their fairy godmother. They were close to her, and she had such a deep and moving connection and friendship with them. She always talked to them on FaceTime and took any chance she could to come see them and take them shopping or do their hair and nails. The girls were so close with her, and everything we would do would have to stop and, quote, take a picture and send, or a video and send it to MaryGrace. So you want to play Lisa, play that video? Okay, show her your fingernails. Oh, that's your toenails. Ooh. Last night, Mommy painted Jayla's toenails at her cousin's house. Show her your fingernails. Ooh. These are pretty. Say hi to MaryGrace. She's at home. We're gonna send her this video.
I cannot see her.
Okay, we'll send her a video. Maybe she'll send us a video back. Okay?
Hi, Jayla. Thanks for sending me a video of your fingernails. They're really pretty. I like the pink shiny ones. Did Mom paint them for you, or did Dad paint them for you? Having fun at your cousin's house? I miss you. Bye.
As I was going through photos for this day, for this slideshow, I came to the heartwarming and heartbreaking realization and discovery that I have way more photos of my girls making a heart with their hands or wearing a fancy dress or freshly painted fingernails and saying, "Dad, can you take a picture and send it to MaryGrace?" than I do of her. This made me realize how much a part of our everyday life she still was, even though she lived so far away. Next year in February, my wife and I will have our fourth child, and they will not get to grow up with MaryGrace like the girls and Koa a little bit have gotten to do. But MaryGrace will still be part of our everyday life, and we will always tell our baby, how excited MaryGrace was when we told her and how much she lit up. This was on Friday night, and she really hadn't talked the whole night. But we told her, I said, "MaryGrace, we're expecting our fourth baby." And she shut up and said, "Really?" and got tears in her eyes. I was so excited, and Rhea came to the foot of the bed, and she said, "Hey, baby girl." So her mind was still there, and she knew who we were. This will always be my favorite last memory of MaryGrace, along with the memory of her and Mom giving me their birthday gift for me the next day. It was a photo album of photos of her and I, and a handwritten note inside, which is the last thing that she ever wrote, and I'll always cherish that. And this is written like there's nothing wrong with MaryGrace. But she said, "Happy birthday to you, love you. May this next year be full of blessing. I'm so thankful for my big brother, my home dog. Love you so, so much. Thanks for giving birth to my fairy godchildren. Happy birthday. Love, MG and Jacob." Mary Grace, I love you so, so much, and I am so grateful that you get to be with our Creator now and are strong, healthy, two-armed, and dancing with our Father in heaven. And like my girls and I prayed every night for 2 years. And if I forgot, Ray would remind me to pray that Mary Grace is healed. But like we pray every day for 2 years before bedtime, I'm thankful that you are totally healed. I love you, Mary Grace.
I had more written down that I wanted to say right now, but I think we've covered how magical of a person Mary Grace was and what an inspiration she was. She left a great impact for me by inspiring a song that was a song that my brothers and I performed around the country. It's on our album and was always special to me. That is just simply about watching her grow up and marvel in the heartbreaking beauty that is to see the seasons changing and watching my baby sister grow up. And I am a pretty emotional person, and Mary Grace and I had a lot in common, including our fiery tempers and our flair and fashion swings. And so I knew I wouldn't be able to sing very well today and wanted to relive a moment that will always be cherished in my heart when each of us brothers got to spend a few seconds with Mary Grace, dancing with her on her wedding day. I'll never forget looking into her eyes and saying, "I love you." And then handing her off to our big brother Sam, who is always her protector. And this morning, I gave up my spot to him to stand at her head as we laid her to rest across from Jacob, because I knew that's where he belonged. And I'm so thankful that during Mary Grace's last days, Sam and I were able to bring her home to the farm and have these last moments that we're sharing that are so precious to us. And the last time I saw Mary Grace, I looked at her and she'd had a long day, and Mary Grace was sharp. Like, she knew what was happening, but she was tired. She was struggling to breathe, and she was tired from the long day. And I just asked to see those gray sky eyes one last time. And she just did not have the strength to open her eyes. So I gave her one last kiss, and I held her hand, and I said my goodbye, knowing it was the last time. And the loss right now is fresh, and it cuts deep. And it's okay to grieve. But right now, we're here to celebrate the life that we shared with her. So I've made the decision to hold on to this moment, dancing on her wedding day, looking into her eyes, and as we danced to her song. And Malachi put the video together that we can all relive it together.
She looks up to the hazy gray sky. She spells her name with her finger. I call her gray sky eyes, but her heart goes by September. Nothing myself. I say it to myself. Don't let the winter come. Please don't let it snow. The world keeps on spinning faster. A wonder that breaks my heart. The sun is a great timepiece, trading stories with the sea. The ticking clock is my heartbeat. I have no time for apathy. And I think to myself, I say it to myself. Don't let the winter come. Please don't let it snow. The world keeps on spinning faster. A wonder that breaks my heart. Don't let the winter come. Please let the trees grow. Time keeps on spinning faster. It begins to break my heart. It begins to break my heart. The wonder that breaks my heart.
I really don't know how to talk about Mary Grace and do it justice. She was one in a million. She was so full of life and adventure, and she loved so deeply and so authentically. She had so much inner strength. She had so much hope and faith. She was such a creative and encouraging person to be around. She taught me so much about happiness and about joy, and I was missing that in my life before I met her. She had a smile that was so bright. It made me fall in love with her and spend all my money and time on her. And I don't regret it at all. And I know everybody here can share a story and say something so amazing, and I'm just so lucky that I was the one out of many that won her heart, and I got to marry her and spend what time I did with her. I know a lot of you have been following us on Instagram, and I just first want to say that was all her. I just took some videos and I told her she looked beautiful, but that was her and her heart that she poured out. But it was amazing for me to see how brave and bold she was to share what she did, to connect with so many people,
She touched so many people, and she really had an impact. She shined so bright. And I received like 1,000 or so messages on her last Facebook post, all saying how amazing and awesome and encouraging and strong she was. And I don't think I know anybody stronger than her. And I know a lot of people see her as a warrior, and she was no doubt a warrior. But at the same time, she was my wife. She was a woman full of emotion. She had so much passion and zeal for the things that she loved. But there was also the fear and the insecurity. There was panic and doubt in those moments when it was just us alone. But even through all of that, her hope in her heart shone through, and she had faith. She has an inner resilience that not many people have. And while there was a lot of hard times, there was a lot of happy times too, good times. I just wanted to share a couple of moments from kind of the last 9 months that just really impacted me in a profound way. And I'm not sure if I'll be able to get through it or not, but I'm going to try. So, around the end of last year is when things had started to get kind of bad, or really bad. She was in a lot of pain with her arm, and we'd been trying to get in with a surgeon for quite a while. And that whole process was just really slow for some reason, from the calls to the appointments to our scans not showing, so we had to redo them and all of that. And so while all of this was going on towards the very end of the year, there was a book that was sitting on my nightstand that a friend had given me quite a few months before, and it was on gratitude. And for some reason, I'd had this book for quite a while. I just decided to pick it up, and I started reading, and it was about giving thanks to God because He is good, and He does good things for His people, and everything that comes from Him is good. And I didn't know if I believed in that at the time. I believed that this cancer, it was evil, it was a curse. It wasn't God's will for us to be sick and to suffer. But as I started reading that book, I realized how a lot of our prayers are a lot of pleas and a lot of needs, and there's less praises and thanksgiving. And so I had kind of decided I was going to start gratitude journaling, and I would just fill a page every day. And being that I was taking care of her and my days were really busy, it was usually like 1 or 2 in the morning that I would have time to fill this out. And during all this time, too, to make it worse, we had just felt really led to go to Ohio for this treatment. And we had just gotten back from another trip that was really rough, that I wasn't sure we were going to make it back from. And neither of us wanted to go on this trip. We didn't think we could make it, and yet God was providing a way. The finances were there. He was closing the door in Texas. We were calling the MD Anderson place every day for a week and didn't receive a single phone call back. And for a big hospital in Texas, it's got to be a God thing. But anyway, we decided to go. So I booked the flights and I packed. And that day I kind of decided I wasn't going to journal because I was just too exhausted and we had to get up early for this flight. And I was really apprehensive about the trip. I think that was maybe the lowest night of my life. And I just found myself at the foot of her bed while she was sleeping, just crying and pleading for her life. And I didn't know what I was doing, trying to take her to Ohio, and with everything going on, it was just a really long night. And then sometime in the early morning, I got a text from a group that was from a group we had met that were, it was just prayer needs, and he was asking for prayer for his son. And that was kind of the last thing that I had wanted to do. But I was already praying, so I said a prayer for him, and that led me to a psalm, and that psalm led me to be convicted to write in my journal and say thanks today. And so whatever time it was in the morning, I get up, and by the light of my phone screen, I'm on a table when she's sleeping, and I saw in the corner it said January 6th. And I didn't really remember writing that, but I couldn't tell because it was after midnight every time, and I didn't know what the date was or not. And so I was counting my entries, and I had to do that twice before I noticed the handwriting. And it wasn't my handwriting, it was hers. And at 3:30 that morning, she got up and she filled out a whole page of Thanksgiving. And when I read through what she wrote, I was broken and I was healed at the same time. She wrote about me and how thankful she was for the life we had together. She even wrote that she was thankful for the cancer because it brought both of us so much closer to Yahweh. And when I wasn't there to say thanks, she stood in the gap for me, and she took my place. And I know a lot of people told me that I took good care of her, but she took care of me too. Especially in those last 6 months as things started to get worse. Her faith only increased. Her praises only increased. All the way to the end, she was encouraging me. She always had a prayer or a praise. And I am so grateful that she was my wife and that we had the time together that we did. And I don't know why it seems that the brightest people always get taken too soon. She was the brightest person I knew. But for the 24 years that she was here, and especially the 2 years that I got to spend with her, she shined brighter than anyone I know. She had an inner resilience, fortitude, and so much trust in God that even though she suffered through so much, she kept her head high. She held on to her faith and her love of me and her love of her family. And I'm lucky that I got to call her my wife. And we really did believe that healing was in store for her. And the truth is that she was healed, and she did win the battle. It just wasn't the physical healing that we were hoping for, but it was the healing that she needed before she could go rest in the arms of our Father. And I'm so grateful for her. And I'm so grateful for all of you here and for those abroad and those watching this. Without your support, we would not have made it as far as we did. All of the letters, all of the packages, all of the donations, all of the prayers, and I know there were probably millions. She had so much joy reading the comments, reading the letters she got, the packages, the donations. It allowed me to spend the last 9 months taking care of her full time. And I am deeply grateful to all of you here for that. I have a video that I want to play that we had started working on earlier this year, and we just never got around to finishing it. And then this week, with the help of her brother Malachi, we put something together enough to show you guys. And I tried to capture her beauty in a camera and on a photo, and I don't think I did the best job. She made it easy, but there's something about her that just can't be captured. And those of you who know her know that. But I hope that you enjoy this little montage of some of the adventures we had together. And I really hope that you can be encouraged by MaryGrace to smile during the tribulations and to give praise to God because He is good in all things. And there is a hope of a future. Thank you.
Yesterday, I was asked to describe life in a single word, and after a moment of contemplation, the word that floated to the surface was persistent, because I have never known anything as certain as the fact that life will go on. Yesterday, I woke to the sight of dust dancing in the sunlight cascading over my bed. And like a sailor gazing at stars, I was suddenly certain of the journey ahead. My future, tied up neatly in flecks of sunlight before my eyes, purpose tugging at my chest. I was awake. I was alive. Yesterday, I woke up with a different person living in my skin. Someone so confident that they could sway the ocean if they wished, and so I did. I did wish, and the tide moved in harmony with me. I was just as much myself as I was the earth and the sea. Yesterday, I saw the world in color, in vibrant hues of blue and green, gray skies of the past becoming a monochromatic memory. I did not know misery, and misery did not know me. Yesterday, I doubted my doubts more than I worshipped them. I rejected my fear more than I followed it. I abandoned my hesitation like a dirty pair of shoes that I've been wearing for too long, and I dressed myself in the purpose that was so tangible in my fingertips. I ran my hands over my anxiety and decided it was no longer worth holding. I traced the border of my pain, then let it dissipate into the sky. I felt the weight of my sorrow, then let it escape the cage of my mind. Yesterday I woke up with love inhabiting every space within me, hate becoming a shadow that cowered in the corner of my mind. Life was in fact beautiful, and I did, in fact, have time. You see, I've always been the kind of person who forgets that life exists on a pendulum, and yesterday I was swinging high. And from above the trees, my shame became small. From above the mountains, there was nothing but sky, nothing but hope, nothing but light. Yesterday, I did not care that the light can be as blinding as the darkness, that life may be persistent, but it isn't always kind, that love has a way of making me disregard my fear of heights. How can I think about the fall when I'm dancing in the sky? How can I lower my head when there is helium in my mind? I am floating among the clouds. I do not care about the rain. I am on top of the world. I cannot think about pain. And so yesterday, I was at the top of the mountain looking over it all. Yesterday, I was 3,000 feet tall. Yesterday, I forgot that the higher I climb, the further I fall. Today, I was asked to describe life in a single word. And after a moment of contemplation, the word that floated to the surface was fragile. Because I have never known anything as certain as the fact that life will end.
That is hard to follow, okay? It's not fair. Praise Yah. Hallelujah. Thank you, Father. How I ended up here, my name is Elias de la Fuente. I'm a friend of the Scoggins and a friend of the Kerrs. We met the Scoggins, and then we started feasting with them, going to feasts. After going to several feasts, we met the Kerr family, an amazing family with musicians and a band. They had a band in their family. It was amazing. Anyway, so we met them, and the Scoggins had gotten close to us. You can tell by our children, their marriages. Anyway, and then we went to Onsecote, and we meet Kerrs, and we get to know them and all. And then the Scoggins were really close. The boys spent a lot of time with us. We went to Israel and left the two Scoggins boys in charge of our business. That's how well we knew them. But anyway, and so when we find out about MaryGrace and Jacob, and then that the wedding is in the plans, and then we find out about the cancer, and he's going to go in with the plans. It just amazed me that they were going to go in and tackle this together, and it was a blessing and all. And your video, Malachi, of you guys doing the coffin, it's amazing. It's impacting. It's Brother Kerr, I'm blessed to know you, to know your children, to know your sons, and this video, it just amazes me. And I ask, how fair is it? How fair that a father and the brothers get together to build a coffin for their sister. I'm just so thankful to our Father in heaven that He is good to us and He strengthens us, gives us strength. I've been asked to read Psalm 27, verses 1 through 6 by Jacob, and I said, yes, I will. And it just shows the strength of what our Father, through His Word, does for us. And I just want to share that with you. And when I said a while ago, how fair is it? How fair is it? I just encourage you to go read Hebrews 5, 7, and 8, and ask the Father to help you so we can understand and help us to handle this. So I'm reading Psalm 27, 1 through 6. Yahweh is my light and my salvation. Whom shall I fear? Yahweh is the strength of my life. Of whom shall I be afraid? When the wicked, even mine enemies and my foes, came upon me to eat up my flesh, they stumbled and fell. Though an host should encamp against me, my heart shall not fear. Though war should rise against me, in this will I be confident. One thing have I desired of Yahweh, that will I seek after, that I may dwell in the house of Yahweh all the days of my life, to behold the beauty of Yahweh, and to inquire in His temple. For in the time of trouble He shall hide me in His pavilion. In the secret of His tabernacle shall He hide me. He shall set me up upon a rock. And now shall mine head be lifted up above mine enemies round about me. Therefore will I offer in His tabernacle sacrifices of joy. I will sing, yea, I will sing praises unto Yahweh. A writer wrote a song, and in his song he said, an empty grave is there to prove that my Savior lives. That same empty grave proves to me that she lives. I'll meet her one day again. Blessings to you.
Wow, she's touched a lot of people's lives. On behalf of the family, I want to thank you all for coming. There's refreshments in the foyer. We'll give you time to visit with the family, and then later the family is going to have an intimate meal together to continue the celebration of MaryGrace's life. As we close today, there's a special song that was picked out for MaryGrace. It's called Take Courage by Christine DeMarco. And it's just, she had so much courage and she's touched so many lives, and we just can't imagine our lives without her. And we're just glad that the 24 years we got to share with her on this earth, that she was here for us, and we can't wait to see her again. So thank you all for coming.
Stay steadfast, my soul. He's in the waiting. He's in the waiting. And hold on to your hope as your triumph unfolds. He's never failing.